Hey guys, so I'm pretty sure I'm live, so I'm gonna make a post to let people know that I'm live, and then we'll go from here. Just bear with me for a little bit while I make this post and get things ready to go. Let's see here. This shouldn't take too long. But you never know. So let me share this now. A couple more people watching this, hopefully. Let's shut this down. My computer's freaking out. What the F are you doing? Well, you know what? Maybe I should buy a more powerful computer. Well, screw it. So let's go ahead. What I'm going to use with the rest of this in here, maybe not this piece. This will fit in here, and these little heads will sit on top of here. So the other option I was going to do when I have this up for sale, when I get done casting all this, is I'm going to sell the heads as separately, or as a combination, sell the head with the bus display piece, right? So pretty cool. So let me slowly take this apart so it doesn't fall apart on me. So now that I've cleaned this mold or the master up a bit, there's some issues on the surface I had to clean up. Maybe some of the printing lines, because this piece was 3D designed and 3D printed off my Form 2. So I used the highest resolution, which took about 2 days for this to print, I think. But then there's still a little areas where there's some of the, let's see here, print lines, like resolution lines, very, very fine. But you could, when I sanded it down, you can still see them a little bit. So I got rid of most of that. Primed this last night. This is fully cured now. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make a mold of this. So let's start off with my mold box, right? So the idea is I'm going to lay this down here, and I'm going to pour silicone over this, and then do a 2-part mold. So this is the first part of the 2-part mold. So right now what I'm doing is I'm filling this cavity here because I don't want to waste a lot of silicone right now when I want to cast just the top half of this, right? So what I'm using here is this PlayDoh. This is water soluble stuff, so it cleans up very nicely. A lot of mold makers will use clay. The clay is reusable as well, but I've just been used to working with PlayDoh because it's also very soft. It's very easy for me to work with and very malleable. And again, it's water soluble, so I could just when I pull this out, the rest of this I could clean up just using warm water, and that will be the end of that story. So I got 2, or actually 4 sets of Play-Doh. I don't really care if the colors intertwine. I'm more concerned with just filling this cavity here. So I want this, because the silicone's going to be under about 40 pounds of pressure. I don't want the silicone to kind of seep under here and start, causing problems. So that's why I'm filling this cavity with as best as I can. So when I'm doing this, I want this to have a little bit of a fill it more than just negatively, right? So I have some positive PlayDoh over on top of this, so that once I press down on top of the Lego box I have, everything will just kind of squeeze out. Sure, there's better ways of mold making. This is how I'm used to doing this. So this is ready to be pressed down here. So I'm going to kind of center this as best I can and press this down. What I don't want to hear is a cracking sound. So that is pressed down. Now, I'm not too sure how much silicone I'm going to need for this volume in here. And if you look at this level-wise, I might need another layer of Lego bricks to raise up the box structure here. So I'm going to go ahead and build another layer here just so that I could make sure this all works as designed. Legos are very handy in this process because you get all sorts of creative shapes with the Legos, creating your boundary box. This is pretty quick. Remove any excess mold or silicone from the last attempt and finish building my box. There, now I'm pretty sure I have a full expanse where I can fill the tub with a lot of silicone. So let's grab a solo cup, which I'm going to fill with the silicone. And this mixture is done by weight. So this is the silicone I'm using. It's from a local company called Silpack that I like because they're local. I can always drive there and get more silicone. I actually have a full quart size of this right now. So I might actually just use this to try to fill this. Well, I could also do this in layers. So I'm not really concerned about that. I could let one layer cure and go on to the next layer, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and let's do this. So turn on my scale. And I'm just going to dump this stuff in. We have a build gathering today, so there should be people showing up at my house, but hopefully this is a quick test that I'll finish making this mold fairly quickly. Snap. Okay, problem. My little my little scale overloaded. I never tested whether this could handle this load. So since I'm using so much silicone, I could grab my other scale, get a rough idea of what this cup would weigh, and just transfer that over. So that was useless. So there's a scaling issue, I guess. So let's see here. Try not to make a mess, but I am going to end up making a mess because of just how this stuff works. And hopefully if someone shows up to the build gathering, we're going to do a little quick TGG meeting in a bit. So if people are here, I'll just let them pop in and say hi, or I'll just shut this down now, and we'll go from there. dog's kind of trapped in my room right now, and since I'm in the middle of doing this, give me a second and we will let them out so they can stop. They can shut the hell up. Oh, God damn it. All right, get out of my room. Bastards. Hey, all right, get the fuck out. Okay. Sorry about that. Let's get back to this. Okay, so I have about 386 grams of silicone in here, right? So I'm going to clean up this. Let's start with that first, right? If it's not enough, I'll come back and mess with that later. So let me do some quick cleanup on my spatula. And we'll do a measurement for the silicone. So let's see here. Let me get a napkin so I can clean up myself when I'm done doing this. So let's see here. Now, 385 grams. The catalyst I need will need to be 10% of that. Let me get a napkin so I can clean up myself. Shit. When I'm done doing. Sorry about that. Trying to watch myself, make sure this is live and working. Let's see here. So I need about 39 grams of catalyst. So I'm just going to use a calculator just so my agent skills need to be returned to someone. My yellow card plus 10% would equal to 425 is my final number. So I'm just going to dump all this in here. And my magic number here is 425. This needs to be shaken up vigorously. Because the active ingredients tend to settle in the activators. It's the same thing with the hardener piece for the resin. You really should shake this up because the hardener tends to settle. So let's go ahead and start throwing in and try to reach my magic number. So let's see here, 4. And if I go over a little bit, I'm not going to really care that much. 425 on the dot. Now, the other scale I had to 2 decimal places. This has no decimal places. So makes sense that the little one overloaded because it's not expecting, 400 grams of, crap on there. It's running in very precise small amounts. So next up, let's get my handy dandy tongue depressor, and I'm gonna try to mix this very carefully. Move my scale away and slowly mix this together. Now you want to mix this up completely so that it's nice and smooth and it's no longer this dark or white color. It's baby blue. So for those of you that are just joining us, I'm making a mold of the Goof custom bus piece that I 3D designed a couple of weeks ago. To cast this giant piece would be retarded because it'll just cost too much to do. So I redesigned this. I cut half of this off so that I'm just doing the top half. So I think that's a viable option for people if they want to have this conversion kit with the bus piece. Now, this is a conversion kit. It requires, or the head requires the Zaku Exceed, unless, of course, you know how to scratch build those pieces. Then you could kind of avoid that, but to kind of sort of save my butt a little bit, it does require Bandai product until Bandai makes one, and then I stop. I'm only going to produce a very small amount of these anyways, so I don't. It's more because of the hobby side of this than anything. I'm not here to, make money. I'm here to, get some of that stuff for to help pay some of the bits for SCGMC, which is coming up in November. So while I'm mixing, I could talk a little bit about SCGMC because I am a plug whore, and this is what's happening. SCGMC. It's happening in November. Let's put that up there, just so that you guys could. Most of you guys should know about this. If you don't, it's the biggest gunpla competition in all of North America. Like literally, all of North America. We're talking 200 to 300 Gundam-related model kits on the tables. Skill levels from all over the place, like beginner, advanced, even experts. So if you've never been to a competition, you're afraid to compete, I mean, this is one of the best places to go because you get to talk to your fellow modelers. You get to learn all sorts of different techniques, but different modelers are using even the same kind of techniques you're learning. There's panels. We have presenters from across the United States coming to teach you some of the techniques they know of. Panel line scribing, how to build dioramas, how to build a snow diorama, all sorts of, kit bashing is another one. If you check out our website, thosegundamguys.org, you'll see that information. Our show is on November 9th, Veterans Day weekend, because chances of getting more vets at our show is higher then. So now this has been mixed up. I don't see any striping. I'm going to go ahead and start pouring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at a corner and slowly fill this in. I should make sure this is tight. Oh well. Famous last words. I don't want to pour too quickly because then I might create air pockets. I'm not too concerned about that because I will be putting this into a pressure pot to finish curing once I'm done pouring all this silicone out. I don't think I'm going to fill it to the top. I'm actually pretty sure I'm not going to get it all the way to the top. But, again, silicone sticks very well to itself. So I just need to pressure cure this. Excuse me. And once this is pressure cured, I could go ahead and apply another layer of silicone to kind of finish this off. What I don't want to do is mix another batch of silicone and then pour it in immediately because the cure ratio is already changed. This is already on its way to curing, so I don't want to mess with that. I want to do it at single batch times. Now, what happens when you have different cure ratios is you might end up getting bubbles forming because a layer underneath has cured before the top layer, so you get some weird bubbling, or the top layer might cure faster than the bottom layer. So just good idea to avoid that. So this is the first step. You can see all these little bubbles here. I'm going to clean off my little tongue depressor because I am Chinese and I will reuse these tongue depressors even though they cost, a couple cents to make. I don't know why. I have a bag full of them. You can't take the Chinese out of me. I've tried. Yeah, like the Viper's watching this while he's at my house downstairs. You could come up and say hi, you douche. So, another trick to do is while this is kind of still wet, you can sit here and pop all the bubbles. This is kind of dumb. But since there's no real undercuts on here, I'm not going to really concern myself with this. I could just stick this into my pressure pot, and since it's still very liquid, just press. What the pressure pot does is it just compresses everything. So bubbles that used to be there will just compress into one big bubble and surface to the top, and then or they'll be very, very tiny bubbles. The other option would be to do a vacuum chamber, which it sucks the silicone out. But the way that works is you'll suck the air out and then you release it so that it compresses. Otherwise, this becomes this big expanded piece of silicone. So it's easier for me to use a pressure pot. So hopefully this will fit in my pressure pot. That's also an interesting thing that I haven't actually validated. But this is the first part of making that mold, and I'm going to sign off. And I'll hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this short 20-minute video of making the mold. And I'll go live later on maybe. Catch you guys later.